Hello, and thank you for joining us for an exciting discussion today about how B2B businesses are revolutionizing their approach to accounts receivable. I'm Nikita Hyatt, Managing Director of BlueSnap Europe based in the UK. We will be speaking with April Grudier, VP of Marketing for BlueSnap, which recently released the Progressing Payments report looking at the state of B2B payments today, and Jake Herbert, COO and Legal Counsel from MAXAIR. Thank you both for joining us. Now first, it would be great to get to know you both a bit. April, can you tell us a little about yourself and especially the Progressing Payments report that BlueSnap has conducted?
Thank you, Nikita. Yes, I'm April Grudier, Vice President of Marketing for BlueSnap. And after about 25 years in marketing, I have found that I am quite passionate about market data and customer insights. So that's why this study was so important to me. In payments, there's usually so much conversation around the innovations in B2C payments. We wanted to shine a spotlight on B2B payments. We wanted to take a look at the current state of B2B payments, current usage of automation, and how outdated AR practices were negatively affecting several areas of a business. So in the fall of 2020, we surveyed 800 senior decision makers in the US and the UK. And these businesses were various sized organizations with annual revenues of anywhere between 5 million to 1 billion. And the businesses we surveyed were from financial services, retail, distribution, some IT, telecom, and business and professional services.
Oh, that's fab, April. I cannot wait to dig in more in the results. So, Jake, can you tell me a little about yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Jake Herbert. I'm the COO and Legal Counsel of MAXAIR Systems. Thank you so much for having me today. It's an honor to be on the webinar. We have been a PPE company for about 15, 16 years now, trying to set the standard for powered air purifying respirators and splash protection. So we protect people from anything from Ebola to coronavirus to any type of particulate that you could think of.
Great, thanks, Jake. Now, it's no secret that one of the goals of any business is to make money. And with accounts receivable, businesses provide their goods and services with the promise of receiving payment. So you could, I guess, almost look at it as a loan of sorts. So with this in mind, these payments aren't always made on time. And I'd like to ask you both, what is the impact of late payments on a company? And if we start with you, April.
Sure, Nikita. For many companies, it's about the upfront money that they spend, which makes accounts receivable so critical to their business, and why we thought it was important to do our report, especially during a global pandemic when so many aspects of business were impacted. The entire supply chain was affected, and we found through our report that over 80% of B2B executives say that the future of their company is threatened by late payments.
Wow, and then in addition, obviously, late payments have an impact on cash flow, right?
Yeah, the impact on cash flow is huge. So 43% of businesses say that delays in processing have an impact on their cash flow. And so when we talk about processing, we're thinking of those manual steps such as actually collecting the mail, opening the mail, processing paper checks, waiting for those checks to clear, and then manually creating and reconciling reports, creating aging reports, and then managing the multiple customer communications which come with the invoicing process.
Okay, thanks. And Jake, now that MAXAIR has undergone an accounts receivable transformation, can you tell us a little bit about how working with BlueSnap changed your accounts receivable function? And and in particular, the impact that automating AR has had on your cash flow?
Sure, absolutely. So I started with MAXAIR about probably just before the pandemic really got started. And the first day I walked into the building, it reminded me of when I was about probably 11 years old and I was getting a puppy for my birthday. My mom took me to this lady's house, and we walked up to the door, and she was seemed normal enough, and it's really nice. Opens the door, and there were dogs everywhere. There were dogs on the kitchen counter. I didn't even know, dogs could get into some of the areas of the house that we were finding them in. And almost like a movie set, right on cue, a kid walks in with a donut, and he's holding it over his head, trying to get through this sea of dogs, right? And barely makes it. And we just wanted to get our dog and get out of there. And so mass chaos, right? When I walked in the door at MAXAIR, there were people everywhere. There was paper everywhere. Kind of just getting through the first few months was a challenge as we kind of ramped up production 20 times. We hired so many people to try and get the personal protective equipment out the door. Essentially, we were one of the only PPE suppliers as well who had powered air purifying respirators. Most of our competitors, their supply chain relied heavily on China, and so they didn't have any parts or materials to make things. So we had a hard time just entering orders into our system. And so that kind of growth puts a huge strain on the business, obviously. And we were having a hard time keeping track of payments, keeping track of, who ordered what, of being a smaller business for so long. And so, I kept hearing in the back of my mind during this growth process, one of my professors in undergrad at Baylor, who I'm pretty sure I got on her nerves every day, but she got on mine as well. She kept saying the phrase "cash is king," right? And it's such a cliche that we've heard, but every time she said it, it bugged me for some reason. I kept hearing that nagging cash is king" in the back of my head. Because we were undergoing a process where basically shedding cash at a rate that was just unsustainable in terms of hiring people and getting supplies without getting money in. So we were on a trajectory basically to go insolvent if we didn't come up with something quickly. So when people were asking if they could buy stock in the company, and I was like, no, I'm an attorney. It's definitely a private company. At that time, I was also thinking in the back of my mind, well, hopefully we're going to make it through this cash crisis with all the growth. And so we needed an AR solution, an automated one, and I was hoping something existed, right? So I started searching for payment links, and found BlueSnap was kind of the leader in that field of creating payment links and those customers. And they had such a full solution, though, that I never expected to find. And so that's sort of my story on finding BlueSnap, and really the need for automated AR was so apparent to me with just the stacks of paper we were trying to mail out and keep track of, and making it easier for customers to get paid and keep track. So it's revolutionized the way we do business now, and hopefully been good for everyone.
Wow, Jake, thank you for sharing that with us. And that sounds like a pretty amazing transformation. and you know, in terms of the impact that it's had on MAXAIR, I think there are other parts of it as well that you touched on, including the forecasting and how BlueSnap's AR automation tool has been able to help you with this and help lower the DSO and really kind of, I guess, drive the future of the business as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yes. So in terms of having, good data on accounts receivables, unfortunately, data is becoming the most important thing that we all have to worry about every day. Whether it's good data, are we collecting all of it? Can we see the bigger picture? How do we improve, right? Something like accounts receivable isn't like the main concern most executives and most people's minds who are working day to day in terms of creating efficiencies there, but really it's the lifeblood of allowing you to move forward and invest in your business. So we've been able to now track every single invoice, every customer down to the most, I guess, minute, data points of helping us set credit rating and helping us to find the best way to get to serve them. And a lot of these our customers are hospitals who have been hit really hard, and so we want to work with them as much as possible. And in terms of payment, and our whole goal the whole time was to get as much PPE to them, and they make the requirements for getting paid pretty stringent. And so using our Matic, we've been able to keep detailed notes of that, adjust how we're automatically sending out invoices, whether through email or if they want it in a certain format. So it's been great.
That's great.
Nikita, sorry.
No, I was going to ask April what we saw in the report with regards to forecasting.
Oh, yeah, Nikita, I mean, Jake's experience is very in line with what we were hearing about forecasting. And from our report, we heard that 37% of businesses say that they cannot forecast cash flow accurately. In relation to that, 35% said that they were unable to grow because of cash flow issues. So you start to see the correlation between forecasting cash flow issues, being able to grow, and it becomes a real issue for businesses.
And going back a little bit further, Jake, you've talked about how you found BlueSnap in the first place and what you were looking for. And you mentioned you were looking for a payment link solution, right? And then you learned about BlueSnap and our AR automation software. And how would Maxair's situation be different had you not found us?
Well, I think we would have remained in a state of chaos, throughout this pandemic time. Hopefully we would have been able to collect and really implement something to track things with, but hindsight's 2020. I don't know if we would really be in a position to say, okay, we're in a good spot to continue growing the way we are, to continue trying to lead in the powered air purifying respirator space and create innovation. Instead of just trying to survive, it's really given us the comfort that you can invest resources in your company going forward now. So I think, I definitely was a solution to a problem, and we would still be in that problem and trying to hang on without the right tools, and giving our accounts receivable team the tracking abilities and automation they need to do their job.
And Jake, walk us through the process of actually getting set up with AR automation.
Yeah, so I think the thing I love most about BlueSnap is probably the people that I get to work with there. I mean, that's why I'm on here, right? Just so everyone knows, I'm not getting paid to be on here or anything like that. So a shout out to Jana and Casey and Richard and there's so many involved, Max, Lucas, just people who essentially are go above and beyond for you, and also, you know, try and make sure that you're comfortable with any sort of arrangements you've made, things you've set up. I think for a few weeks, the creator of the AR automation suite at BlueSnap, he spent time with me every single day for probably several hours onboarding things because we have such a unique use case with the different payment accounts payable departments we work with are unlike consumer departments. And so he spent a lot of time with me, you know, at morning to night. And so trying to get this solution in place. So they go above and beyond, and we'll work with you to make sure that they have a solution. And that says a lot about the company. And you know, I think they're BlueSnap solutions focused, but they're also people focused, and I really appreciated that.
Thanks, Jake, and you know, that's really lovely to hear. So thank you. Now, April, can you share a bit about how the senior leaders that we interviewed for the report feel about AR automation?
Sure, Nikita. So in our study, we found that 95% of senior decision makers think that they should be investing in AR technology. And also that 100% of senior decision makers are optimistic that an AR automation technology would help with the digital transformation and really benefit their organization. So very positive feelings about AR automation and the benefits. But what was interesting was that 40%, or nearly half of the decision makers, said that it was a lack of understanding about what technology was available that was preventing them to actually take the steps to get AR automation in place for their business.
Oh, wow. And Jake, based on the experience you had at MAXAIR and maybe conversations you've had with peers in other companies, does this ring true to you? Like, do you think it is a situation where businesses know they have a problem and they think they can fix it, but they don't actually know what to look for?
Yes, I think that one of the biggest things I've learned is that most of the time, you know, it's looked at is more, AR in general is looked at more as an accounting function. It's like, oh, our accounting department's got that, you know, they've been doing it for years, and we just get the reports and the data and from them, and there's not much we can do about it. So I think that there's a big education gap a lot of times with just, I guess, upper management and what AR day-to-day details look like. And I think that in an industry like ours, you would underestimate the amount of details and complexity that can arise in it, and how basically inefficient things are done, given that we have a solution now for AR automation. And so I would encourage any you know, upper management, even, you know, CFOs, other operations managers, just to really look into under the hood of their accounts receivable department, sit down with them for a day, see what they do and how they do it, and you'll probably find that it can be done a lot better. You can really improve their workflow and hopefully get money in the door a lot quicker, and keep both your staff with higher satisfaction rates and your customers as well.
Absolutely. And there are some other benefits that come from AR automation as well. So April, I think there's a few things that came up in the report that that come with the AR automation.
Yes, Nikita. So in our report, when we asked this question about the obvious the expected benefits to AR automation, there were some things that we knew we would hear around productivity and cash flow. One of the things that we were really pleasantly surprised to hear was that the expectation of increased customer satisfaction. So 34% of our senior decision makers said that they expected to see an increase in customer satisfaction due to AR automation.
And Jake, I know from previous conversations that you and I have had that this is something that you've seen as well, that this solution has really helped your customers, and as a result, there's been a lot of, I guess, customer satisfaction that's come from it.
Yeah, I would say that in our experience, there's always an adjustment period at the beginning too, as you're letting customers know that you're changing over to a new way of billing them, and making sure that they understand that transition has occurred. And so I think in hindsight, I would have put together a little bit more of a plan in terms of saying, okay, you're going to get your invoice and billing this way now. But once we're up and running, I think it's a lot easier for customers to pay us, and it's a lot easier for us to tell them what information they have outstanding. They can check their own statements in a customer portal if they want. We can easily send them a statement with up-to-date information, and even put them on a payment plan if we need to, anything like that. We have the option to do. So I think as we build, it'll just get, I think there'll be more and more customer satisfaction as we, go through the full implementation process of, and understand how to fully utilize all of the things that are available. I think there's a lot of good features that we haven't even been able to explore yet, like refunds and different things like that. We're just starting to do credits, automated crediting, and customer accounts, stuff like that, where that's started to really help us move forward and keep information accuracy up, and the ability for them to interact with us a lot easier way, providing them with good information. And ultimately, that's, I think, what customers want, what we all want. So
Yep, for sure. Now, going on a slightly different topic, April, what are some of the obstacles, hindrances that businesses have with AR automation? What did you see in the report? Because it seems like a bit of a no-brainer once you know what you're looking for, to go for it. But what do you think, what did we see in the report is stopping businesses from going down this route?
So Nikita, what we saw was, or what we hypothesized, is that there is a stigma around the word automation, and businesses fear what that impact of automation could have on their staff. And we found that 27% of decision makers resisted the change due to the fear of people losing their jobs.
Okay, and Jake, what did you find to be true at MAXAIR?
Yes, so I think the more our accounts receivable department uses BlueSnap's AR automation system, the more they like it. The more that they realize the value of it, and that it gives them the tools they need to quickly and efficiently do their jobs. We love our employees, and we want to keep them around. And so automating people out of a job isn't our favorite thing to do. It's something that is a reality of business now, but in this case, it's nice because it really just gives them the tools that they need, the tracking, automatically sending out things based on certain criteria and logic that they set up, and tracking conversations, everything tied to an invoice, tied to an account, statements, credit memos, refunds, all of it, tied together and being linked in one place for them. I think that they just have a lot higher output efficiency now.
Yep.
There's nothing that we see that's going to say, hey, they're no longer needed. It's, wow, they can do their job a lot more efficiently and produce a lot more good outcomes to get our outstanding days down. So
Great. So instead of people losing their jobs by using AR automation, by having AR automation, that it enabled your team to be able to do their jobs efficiently. It was a tool that helped them with their job as opposed to replacing their job.
That's right, yes.
Great. Now, so I think it's fair to say that although many businesses are unaware of AR technology and its capabilities, there is a strong desire and acknowledgement for a need for better payments and AR technology, right, April?
No, absolutely. And so our data found that 53% of businesses want to accept more electronic payment methods. And if you think about it, it's all about customer expectations. So we are creating muscle memory and expectations created by our experience in B2C commerce. And what businesses want to do is bring that innovation and bring that convenience to their B2B lives. So absolutely. And then, to kind of piggyback on what Jake was saying is 43% of businesses want to reduce manual steps. And when you reduce those manual steps, you're removing barriers for people and allowing teams to do more strategic work and more strategic planning to help businesses grow.
And Jake, as someone who's gone through this transformation with their company, what do companies need to do to be prepared for an AR digital transformation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would recommend not having a personal protective equipment company during a pandemic, for one. I think that would be helpful. No, but I think it's like any other enterprise software, right? I always, in talking to developers and things about enterprise software, they always are kind of like, enterprise software, like I have nightmares. I don't want to deal with that, right? Because of the complexities, because of the onboarding process, because of training employees who may be not as familiar with technology, accounting systems, certain things like that. And this resistance to change that we all fear and have, and kind of taking the initial pain for the long-term rewards of doing something like this. So I think in thinking over things, I think have a plan for notifying your customers ahead of time of any changes and any available new payment methods that they can pay with, new features that you're offering them, kind of have a plan in place to be able to roll that out ahead of time. And really, I put together a lot of training resources internally. I know BlueSnap has a lot, but I think it's always good to do that internally as well, in terms of putting together policies and procedures surrounding a new system. So just really getting, if you're not in the AR process already, I'd recommend sitting down with your team, like I mentioned before, and really just going through their day-to-day process and then saying, okay, if we added this, what would be the added benefits, and what would we have to do to prepare for that. And if you're willing to do the hard work and really take the time in this area, I think you'll really be rewarded in the end with significantly better numbers in your AR department, whether that's number of days outstanding, you know, time to receive payment, but also the time you're able to serve your customers with credits and refunds and things like that as well. So
that's great. And Jake, you've kind of answered my third question, which is, what would be your advice to companies considering AR automation tools? I think, you know, you've sort of said, go for it.
yes, yeah. So I think, yeah, you know, it's something that is one of those business solutions, kind of like I was mentioning before, that you don't know it's a problem. And so a lot of times, and if you do know it's a problem, you might not know about the solution. So anyone, you know, listening to this webinar or podcast or wherever this lands, I would just say, yeah, this is something that you want to do now. And you know, if there's anything worth doing in your business, it's to make sure that you have the continual revenue you need to grow and to serve your customers, and you know, in our case, to provide protective equipment to hospital workers on the front lines every day, and do whatever we can to you know, in whatever systems we can implement to better our customer service and our company to be able to serve them better.
Great. Thank you, Jake. So I'm really pleased that there is a solution that can help you, and BlueSnap AR Automation was able to help MAXAIR. So BlueSnap AR Automation software, as we've heard, streamlines your entire quote to cash process. It can integrate to your accounting, ERP or CRM platform. For example, if you have QuickBooks, Intact or Xero. It gives you the ability to create, manage and automate invoices, subscriptions, payments and contracts. And all of this is embedded with BlueSnap's payment solution, offering, as Jake said, your customers the option to pay in their preferred payment method. We've got a customer portal where your customers can go in and track their invoices, their payments, where they're at with everything. And as we've heard today, it can really help improve cash flow, increase customer satisfaction, boost productivity, and enhances forecasting and planning. In fact, it's not uncommon for customers to see a 30 to 50% decrease in DSO within 6 months. So it's something that we're really proud of, we're really excited about, and it's so lovely to hear customers like Jake talk about their experiences with us and the benefits that they've had from our solution. Now, April, how do you advise businesses to get started?
Sure, Nikita. So there are really 3 key ways that businesses can leverage automation as they move forward with their payments. The first thing they should do is really be honest about what isn't working. Businesses should take a real critical look at their processes and what could be putting their cash flow at risk. The second thing is to embrace automation. Really be open to change and open to investing in tech that can help them overhaul legacy systems and practices. And really implementing these changes can be easy and cost effective. So much so that, like Jake said earlier, why didn't I do this sooner? It just felt like something I should have done. And then the third thing is making sure you're identifying the right solution for your business. There are no doubt a number of tools that are available, but really take a look at your business goals and your customer pain points to help you determine what the right technology fit is for your business.
Great, thanks for that, April. And a huge thank you to Jake for sharing your story. I have loved speaking to you both. And Jake, I think businesses have a lot that they can learn from MAXAIR. So thank you for taking the time today. And for those of you at home, thank you for tuning in. You can read the full Progressing Payments report at www.bluesnap.com. Thanks.
Thank you, Nikita. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you so much.